Today we are testing out the Zohan walkie-talkies that fit and attach and work with your Walker's Ear Pro. These things are pretty sweet. Can you hear me in there, sweetie?
Yes.
Right on, I'm gonna start shooting. Alright, done shooting.
Okay.
Welcome back to Sawteeth Tactical. Today we're going to talk about a pretty cool product. So a lot of people use these Walker's Razor Ear Pro, right? I mean, honestly, I use them every single weekend. Well, Zohan sent me these, and these attach to your Walker's Ear Pro and turn them into walkie-talkies. You might have noticed on your Ear Pro that they have a headphone jack right there. Well, this is what it's for. It's something like this. And so we're going to go over this whole thing. I did have a little bit of an issue with these. Tried to do this video last week and I wasn't able to. But I also think that issue might have been my own fault. So we're going to talk about that as well because they worked just fine this week. So I had a little bit of trouble with these earmuffs last week, but I finally got them figured out and they're pretty sweet. How's the temperature inside the truck there, Savannah?
Good.
Right on. I'm going to finish off this mag. I got 2 more rounds of supersonic and the rest are subs.
Okay.
As you can see here, they attach right on to your Walker's Ear Pro. Just like so, and they're a very, very cool design. Now, like I said, I did have some issues with these, and we will talk about that. It wasn't all sunshines and roses, but once I got them to work today, they're pretty sweet, and I can see a lot of really cool uses for these. Now, most of the time when I go out shooting, I'm going out shooting by myself. Most of the time, I'm going out to film something for this channel, but who comes with me a lot of the time? My daughter does. And if she doesn't want to shoot, well, she'll usually hang out in the truck. Sometimes where we go shoot is this huge area. It's this big canyon. We live in southern Idaho. Sometimes she'll just go kind of explore. In fact, she did that while we were out there today.
Well, this is my father.
And the cool thing about these is she could wear a set of these. I could wear a set of these. And we can communicate back and forth the whole time. If, unlike me, you actually go shooting with a big group of people, maybe you guys shoot in teams, maybe you need comms. You need to be able to communicate with your other team members, but you need to protect your hearing as well. Well, these are perfect for that. And they've got tons of modes. They've got a bunch of different channels. They are very useful. But also, as I found, maybe a little overcomplicated for me personally. Now, I'm not an idiot by any means, but the first thing I did when I got these was I started going through all the different features. And there are 22 channels, 99 sub-channels, and there are privacy or priority channels, and there are different modes. They've got Vox, which is voice-activated communication. They've got PTT, which is push to talk. You can see a little button right there. So you push that to talk. Or you can do, like I said, voice activated, where it's totally hands-free. You could have a rifle in your hands and just talk, and it'll know when you're talking and pick that up and transmit it to the other radios. There are, lots of modes, lots of channels, lots of sub-channels, priority channels, all these things. And I think that I just overcomplicated things. So what I did today, I took the batteries out of them, reset them, started over, just very simple, put them both on the same channel, and they worked perfectly like a radio should. To be honest, if you're not using both hands, I kind of like the push to talk. The voice activated does seem like it has a slight delay. Like the computer inside it takes a minute to realize that you're talking and then picks it up and transmits it. So with the button, you know that the other person is hearing you because you can kind of hear like a change in the sound of your electronic ear pro. When you push that button, you know that it's transmitting. I like that, but I can also see if you were running and gunning, if you did have your rifle in both hands, then maybe the Vox or the voice activated is the way to go for you. Before we get deeper into these, let's have a quick word from our channel partner. If you'd like to help support Sawtooth Tactical, the very best way to do that is to click the first link in the description. That link is aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. If you use my link, you get a 2-week free trial. And you can quit anytime, but you probably want to stick with it as I have. What has Aura done for me? Well, I don't get any spam calls anymore. I don't get spam emails. I don't get calls from scammers. What they do is they find all the data brokers that have your information online. They submit opt-out requests on your behalf so that you don't get scammers and spam calls anymore. But they do a lot of other things too. They have a VPN, which just helps to protect your privacy. They've got a ton of stuff, and it all comes in at a very low price. If you stick with it after that 2 weeks, it is only $12 a month. I think Aura is pretty cool because they sponsor gun-related channels, which not a lot of sponsors are willing to do that. And it really helps channels like mine be able to produce this kind of content. YouTube doesn't really like to monetize gun-related videos anymore. And so sponsors like Aura make things like Mark 18 builds possible. So check it out. It's definitely worth trying it out for 2 weeks. Like I said, you're probably going to want to stick with it. I don't have to worry about scammers anymore. I don't have to worry about spam calls, spam emails. And that's been really nice. I use my phone for work, and so I have to answer calls that I don't recognize all the time. And none of them are scammers anymore. And I really like that. So again, check it out. First link in the description, aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. I can almost guarantee that you're going to love it. Check it out. So let's be very clear. These are not Peltors or some military grade, comms. That is not what they are. But what they are is they're comms for the average man. Comms that are affordable and that work with your existing ear pro. And in fact, I think that they have them for lots of different brands of ear pro. When they went to send me these, they asked me, well, what kinds of earmuffs do you own? I told them Walkers, and they sent me them for Walker's Ear Pro. Cool thing about that, I've got an FDE set and a black set, and I didn't even tell them that, and they sent me an FDE one and a black one. So they've got different colors. They will match the ear pro that you have, which is pretty cool as well. So like any radios, like any walkie-talkies, as long as both of them are in the same channel, they should be able to communicate back and forth to each other. And so what I did today is I went shooting just like any other day. And in fact, I took out my 300 blackout. I took some supers, some subs. I hadn't shot the 300 blackout in a while. And I just had fun with it. But what I did was, while I was doing it, I talked back and forth to my daughter who was sitting in my truck because it is very hot in southern Idaho right now. And so she was able to sit inside the air conditioning, be totally comfortable while I was out there shooting, but we could still talk to each other. We did just use the simplest modes on it today. We both put them on channel 3, and we used the push to talk because, like I said, I did have some issues last week trying to do this. Last week I brought my 9mm AR out, and my plan was to film this video last week, and I got out there and I couldn't get these things to work. I got very, very frustrated, in fact, and to be quite honest, I thought maybe that they didn't work. And I emailed the company back, and they sent me some links to some other videos that people had done on these so that I could see how other people got them to work. I didn't even end up watching any of those videos. What I did, like I said, I took the batteries out. I started over from scratch. Instead of trying to go through all the different modes and add in priority channels and sub channels and voice activated and everything else, I just wanted to make sure that they were going to work to be able to film this video today. And when I went back to keep it simple, stupid, just putting them on the same channel without any of the other crazy stuff, they work just great. And I'm sure that all those other modes work as well, because when I first got them, before I even tried to go to the range last week, before I even tried to start filming a video for these, I did try that voice activated because that was very interesting to me, and it did work fine. I'm not sure why I couldn't get it to work out at the range last week, but it worked fine when I did it at home. I had my daughter out in my backyard. I was in my bedroom. The voice activated works fine. I'm sure the sub channels, I'm sure all that other stuff works. And there are use cases for all that stuff. Just not really use cases for me. For me, as a guy that films YouTube videos and goes shooting every weekend, a single dad with a daughter, being able to talk to my daughter, simple was the way to go. Hey Savannah, could you tell when it went from supers to subs there by the sound?
Yes. Subs are more quiet.
That's what I figured. Love shooting 300 blackout subs. So when you go to use this, there's an on switch, and you can see an LCD screen there. This one's on channel 3. This one is also on channel 3. That's how radios work. They got to be on the same channel to work. Now with that mode button, you can switch between all your other stuff. You can up down with your channels, up down with your volume. You can switch it to, like I said, those voice activated modes. You can add in priority channels, sub channels, all these things. And I'm not 100% sure why you would want to use sub channels and priority channels, but maybe I just need to do more research into radio communication. But if you know about that stuff, these do have that ability, which is pretty cool. As far as what I use them for, they worked great. How was the sound quality? It was pretty good. In fact, it was surprisingly good. Again, like I said, after last week, I was a little nervous about trying to film this again. But once I didn't overcomplicate things and they worked, the sound quality was actually pretty loud and clear. Now, at times, it did sound like my daughter was cutting out, coming back to me. But at the same time, she's in my truck. I'm out shooting. I don't know if she was holding the button down all the way because we did have it in push to talk mode. She said that she could hear me loud and clear, which is good. They have a transmitting distance of 2 to 3 miles, which is longer than the entire, well, not longer than the entire canyon technically that I go shoot in, but longer than the entire area of it that is a shooting range. And so for us, it's perfect. 2 to 3 miles, honestly, I mean, she might be able to sit here at home and talk to me out at the range. And we'll try that sometime. And if that works, I'll mention it in another future video because I think that would be a cool experiment to try. But I did want to get this video out for these guys because it had been waiting a little while. They did send me these out for free, but they didn't pay me or anything like that to make this video. It was just see how these work, show them on the channel. And so that's exactly what I'm doing. And, I've turned down a lot of products lately. As my channel has grown, I've got a lot more companies reaching out to me trying to send me stuff. And a lot of them don't even have anything to do with guns, which is like, do you even know what my channel is about? I don't want to make videos about stuff that you guys wouldn't be interested in. When these guys reached out to me, I thought this sounded like a pretty interesting thing. So many people use Walker Zero Pro, myself included, and these don't really add a whole lot of extra bulk. In fact, let's put a set of them on real quick. Turn these things on. So as you can see, they don't really add any bulk. I don't notice it on me or anything. And now I can communicate with someone while I'm shooting if I want to. I think that's a pretty cool concept. Comms, right? So how's the sound quality through those headphones, sweetie? How do the walkie-talkies sound?
Loud and clear, Dad.
Loud and clear? Sounds good. Malfunction.
Where's your gun, Father?
All done shooting. Love you, sweetie. If you're not using electronic ear pro, you're doing it wrong. When I first started shooting, I bought cheap, earmuffs from the hardware store. And I mean, they'll work. They'll keep, they'll protect your hearing, but you can't tell what's going on around you. Electronic ear pro like walkers are not very expensive, and then you can tell what's going on around you, and they electronically, I'm going to take these off, they electronically, keep your ears from getting damaged by loud noises, high decibel noises like gunshots. I even wear them when I'm shooting suppressed most of the time. Might as well protect my hearing, right? Well, to be able to spend not really a whole lot of extra money and be able to make them into walkie-talkies, into radios, I think is a pretty cool concept. Now that I know how to make these work and how to use them, I do recommend them if you shoot with other people, or if you're like me and you just, you have a kid or kids that like to go to the range with you and, maybe go do their own thing while you're shooting, maybe hang out in the truck while you're shooting. It is very cool to be able to communicate with them. And I do see myself using these quite a bit in the future. And that's kind of my test now when I get sent products to review on the channel. Is it something that I'll actually use going forward? Or is it something that I'm just going to make a video and then it's going to go back in a box in the corner of my closet? Well, I do see myself using these going forward. And so by that measure, I think it passes the test. They seem to work really well. And I think that they are a very cool idea. I think it is, cool idea. It's an idea that's been around forever. Communication, radios. But the fact that they just attach to, probably the most popular ear pro that there is, I think is very cool. I kind of always wondered what I would use the headphone jack in my Walker's ear pro for. Well, now I know it's for stuff like this. Now, when it comes to that, I do want to point out the only one possible issue with these things, and it's happened with both of them, which is why I pointed out. As you can see here, the part where the wire comes out of the unit itself, the little rubber or plastic part that's supposed to stay in there, seems to have come out and the wires are a little bit exposed. And it's done it on both of them. You can see the wires there too. It doesn't seem to affect the function. They're working fine. Before I took it to the range today, I did try to get both of those back in there and they didn't stay. So, whatever. They're not very expensive and they work really well. So maybe that's not an issue. I'm sure with a little bit of glue, I could fix that and probably never have it become a problem. But I did want to just point that out. Maybe it's something that'll happen with yours too. It did happen with both of mine and I haven't really used them a whole lot yet. Other than that small issue and the fact that I overcomplicated things and couldn't figure out how to use them the first time I took them out, I do think that I could recommend these at this point. Once I figured them out, they work great and it just adds, extra functionality to your electronic ear pro. I can use these, to communicate with my daughter now. To communicate, part of the reason that I have two sets of these, actually I have a lot of sets of ear pro, but two sets of these walkers is, I have friends that aren't nearly as serious about all this as I am. And so when they go out shooting with me, I've got, a set I can loan out. Well, now I can loan them out and we could actually communicate back and forth as well, which is, a very cool thing. So let me know what you think down below. If you've used these before on your electronic ear pro and what your experience has been, positive or negative, I would love to know. I read every comment. I try to reply to as many of them as I can, and I appreciate every one of you, especially if you're subscribed, especially if you like these videos, especially if you just watch my videos, if you comment. Any kind of interaction helps the algorithm, helps me. I appreciate it. If you really, really want to support the channel, sign up for the first link in the description. That is aura.com/sawtooth-tactical. You get 2 weeks free trial with my link. And it has stopped me from getting any kinds of spam calls, any kinds of scammers trying to attack me anymore. It's actually a very good service, very good product. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.